Hi guys, John Florez again. Kind of a quickie to tell you, but it's a great story. Now, from the last couple of episodes, you know things didn't go very well for me at Capitol Records with the Helen Reddy project. I had never worked for Capitol before, and I had always wanted to. Amazingly, while I was doing the Helen Reddy project, I was offered, as soon as Helen's project was done, to produce Freda Payne. And wow, that was going to be a treat. I love Freda Payne. So when things went south for me at Capitol on Helen's project, we began the Freda Payne album. And what happened was rather interesting, and the quick story has to do with the first rhythm section at the Sound Factory in Hollywood. That's a famous recording studio. Linda Ronstadt had recorded all her big hits at the time with producer Peter Asher. And I was excited to work there. Freda was too. And we hired just the best musicians you can imagine, all double scale, including James Gatson, the monster drummer, who was very popular for a lot of the dance stuff at the time, but he can play anything. He's just wonderful. He's what I've called in the past lumberjack drummers. It's like they're beating their snare with a big stick of lumber, and he's rock solid. So Freda and I are there at the Sound Factory with all the double scale musicians, and it's going really well, and she and I are both excited. Into the room walks Dr. Cecil Hale. He's a PhD. He was head of the Black Product Division of Capitol, and he was going to be the co-producer of the album, though he was not part of the rehearsal process or the picking of the songs process or any of that. He just was kind of a producer in name only at that point. But surprise of all surprises, he walks into the studio and instantly begins changing notes. And Freda said, "John, get him out of here. You know, we can go way over budget with double scale musicians if this is going to take place on a live date, and we don't want to go over budget. Plus, we're happy with what's going on at the moment, and we don't want the notes changed." So I walked Cecil outside, and I said, "Cecil, I will make you a deal. I'll handle all the live dates with all the musicians, including the symphony orchestra dates, so that we don't go over budget. And I know how much you love to mix projects. That's the process of assembling the final tracks and getting the product that the consumer gets to listen to. You mix all of those things together into a finished product." And I said, "Cecil, since you love doing that, why don't I do all the live dates and you do the final mix downs?" And he said, "Deal." So he leaves and leaves us alone to finish the rhythm date. Well, the rhythm dates and the symphony date, all of these go perfectly, and then it's time to hand the tapes over to Cecil to mix them. Okay, I did make a copy of the rough mixes the night that Freda finished her vocals, and I held on to those just for posterity, and boy, I wish I still had a copy of them. I know how they got lost. I turned my place upside down. I went into my vehicle and looked under the car seats. I looked everywhere for it. Can't find those rough Freda Payne mixes. I would love to share them with you. So Cecil and his engineer at Capitol, they do the final mixes. Cecil goes off to Philadelphia on a trip and calls me and says, "Go to my office in the Capitol Tower, John, and listen to the final mixes. Let me know what you think." Well, I did, and they were unlistenable. They were just awful, and some of them even included Freda's warm-up vocals. Those are what we called scratch vocals, where the singer is warming up and clearing the sinuses and doing whatever and taking the first pass or two through the song before they're ready for the final vocal. So I had the track sheets marked clearly final vocals, and they weren't used. And Bruce Miller, who became a famous arranger, who was just getting started at the time, he did these off-the-scale wonderful charts, and a lot of his stuff was buried and poorly done, and oh my goodness, he called me when he heard the final mixes, and he said, "John, can you stop the presses?" And I said, "I've already tried, Bruce." And he said, "Well, you want to go get drunk? Let's go get some margaritas." And that was in my drinking days, and so we did. The point of this clip is to show you a physical example so that you can hear and not just take my word for it on what happened with those final mixes. So here's a section of the tune Savin' It that we did with Freda, and here is the big horn section solo. It's gorgeous. There's only one thing wrong with Cecil's mix, and that is you can't hear the horns. Take a listen, smile. I told you so. And as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys. You take care. Bye-bye.